Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to start again with the GRC anniversary. I have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. This is Marisa Mannheim. I'm currently an assistant professor at the University of Buffalo, new neighbor up the road, only 2.5 hours away. Come visit.
And would you like to tell everybody how you got involved with Grow Pittsburgh and how long did you work with Grow Pittsburgh?
So I started with Grow Pittsburgh. I'm not good with years. I want to say it was 2005 or six, and I was an intern at Braddock Farm, and I applied for that position because I thought that being involved in environmental organizing would be a nice move. I had been a community organizer on immigrant rights and other activist issues, and I was looking for something that would be more connecting, something that could really bring together people around something positive, something that they cared about. So I kind of landed on urban agriculture early, and had the great opportunity to be the first ever intern at Braddock Farm, and I worked with Farmer Jeff, and we had a really good season. And then after that, I went off to do other things. Really went to other places to develop my farming expertise. So I worked as the intern on various urban farms and landscape operations, and I was actually planning to come back to Pittsburgh to start a rent-a-ruminant business, a mobile goat herd to munch up the invasives and prepare land for remediation. But I reached out to the newly appointed executive director, Julie Puzino, and said, "Hey, I'm coming back. Let me know if there's any opportunities for me part time." She was like, "Well, it's not exactly part time, but we'd like you to be the community garden coordinator of our brand new program." So that's how I started at Grow Pittsburgh, and that was, I think, 2008 or 7.
Okay.
And immediately, starting the community garden program was a completely full-time, more than full-time job, especially in those first few years. And it was immediately clear that Grow Pittsburgh needed to be doing more to support backyard gardeners and gardens that weren't involved directly in our program and small-scale urban farms. And I think that it was probably from touring around, and maybe when I visited Detroit, I forget the name of the organization there, but they have a great garden giveaway program where they just kind of designate a vacant lot or a urban farm with some extra space and dump a whole lot of compost and wood chips and have plant giveaways at the beginning of the garden season. And so maybe that model kind of stuck in my head, of just like, let's post up somewhere and provide these resources to people. But I was interested in doing more than just, soil, mulch, compost. I wanted also, having had experience on working organic farms, I saw all of the different farm equipment and all of the different organic amendments and seeds, cover crop seeds, things like that really made such a big difference in being able to grow organically, sustainably. But I knew that, on a small scale urban plot, you don't need to buy a 5 pound bag or a 50 pound bag of this thing. You really just need like a couple ounces.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with the equipment. I mean, who wants to own, a soil fork or, a seeder that you're going to use once a year? And it just doesn't make sense. And it's obviously not affordable for many, many people. And so I wanted to do something that included like a tool lending component to it. And that hung us up for a real long time until we met. Really, it was our supplier, who had been helping us with site prep, and he had been renting us equipment. and selling us lots and lots of gear, which was Andy from True Value. And he, we were trying to figure out how to do tool rental, and he was like, I could help you guys with that. And we're like, really? Like, really? And so he was so real about it. He like immediately just took that on and made it happen. And so, yeah, with those things in place, we had discussions with a compost supplier who was willing to make this part of their regular operation, and obviously had a really great way to get garden tools. We knew exactly what to put in this place, but we didn't have the place. And that was also a process of selection. Location is really important for a lot of things. One is, it needs to be the right kind of site, but also where you put it has a lot of influence on who's able to come to it. And so we spent a decent amount of time on that, but also with I think there was not budget. We didn't have a budget for this project when it started, so it was really bootstrapping it all together. And by then Raiden was on board at Grow Pittsburgh. So Raiden and I worked really closely on this. And I think Jessica, who was one of the community garden crew members, was also involved at that point. And so we did some site selection as far as looking at various sites that might be eligible. And the site that the Garden Resource Center ended up being on is owned by our neighbor and her company. And so we had an initial meeting with her, pitched the idea, and she was also casually, surprisingly casual about like, cool, yeah, that would sound fine. I have no problem with that. And we're like, really? So it's all these amazing pieces fell into place around what should probably, or what I expected to be very difficult things to figure out around site and tool lending, because of the excellent networks that Grow Pittsburgh had developed by that point. I think especially under the leadership of Julie, she was just such a great collaborator and networker. I'm sure she still is wherever she is now. And so all of these things just really fell into part.
So is that around what year would you say that was when the GRC was established?
Oh gosh, I don't remember exactly what year. I think it had been like 5 years by the time I left, so maybe that was around 2013.
Just when you guys were getting it together to have it become what it is now.
So that took about the idea was fermenting for at least 2 years.
Okay.
And I think we had kind of run up against the tool lending side of things, run up against the location side, and also just the capacity. And then I think that it must have been written into a grant for some support to get it started. Can't remember exactly how that came together. And then, so we actually dedicated some real time to developing it, and then things really clicked into place throughout the location, and then finding the unit, the trailer that got turned into the rentals area, and then we partnered with I think a kind of relatively new startup that worked with formerly incarcerated folks to teach them trades.
Was it Land Force?
So, I can't remember. Okay. But we worked with them to build out the inside. That came a couple years later, maybe at least 1 year later, because it was so uncomfortable during the extreme heat and cold. So that came later.
How has the GRC impacted your gardening experience when you were living in Pittsburgh?
Oh, well, I use the GRC all the time. I mean, before that, I had my kind of like personal private GRC with the tools at Grow Pittsburgh, where I would just kind of like check them out for the weekend, and I think a lot of us did that. But it was nice to formalize especially, things like the amendments and the different fertilizers and the seeds. Like, I didn't want to buy that stuff for myself either. And it was also nice as a Grow Pittsburgh staff person, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to buy that thing for this garden. Oh, let me just go get it from the GRC. So it was also just a really nice resource for our staff just to, take a little bit of the stress off us professionally as well.
What would you
It was
add?
also just really nice to have a place to go and like casually connect with other partners and, interact with the people that participate in our programs, but more on a personal level than on a helping you now with this thing. Since I never actually staffed the Garden Resource Center myself, when I went there, I got to kind of feel what it was like to be someone who's receiving or participating in a Grow Pittsburgh program. And so that was a nice insight for me too.
What would you add or change at the GRC?
I have no idea what has been added or changed since I left. I try to keep up with the newsletter and stuff, but I can't really speak to that.
When you were here, was there anything that you would have added or changed when you were in Pittsburgh and when it was still being developed?
I mean, we always needed more compost.
Mm-hmm.
I think obviously transportation and access and accessibility in general is always something that it's hard to fix. I mean, I think that's so like the Garden Resource Center and the seed swap are two things that you just need a little bit of infrastructure and like the people just show up with enthusiasm and love and they use the resource but also give back to the resource. And so I just really love those programs that Grow Pittsburgh has. And so, yeah, I think the only thing I would say that needs to change is just like continue that flow of, how do we, make this into something that builds leadership and ownership over this resource. And I don't know what's been done there since we left. I know by the second year we had tried to create a advisory committee and have kind of at least annual meetings with people who are kind of heavy users or people we really wanted input on how to improve the Garden Resource Center. I don't know if that's still going, but I really loved the idea of this like being something that's, not just a kind of service provision, but also a way that Grow Pittsburgh can have a little bit more kind of cooperative ownership over some of its programs.
What would you like to see the GRC go in the next 3 years? What would you like to see add?
I mean, I'm way out here in Buffalo. I have no right to have a vision for that. I think where I'd like to see that the GRC goal was wherever the people that are most heavily invested in the success of that project want it to go.
Would you like to share one of your favorite memories at the GRC with us?
Oh, I don't know. I'm such an infrastructure wonk. My favorite memories are like the day that we brought the 40-foot trailer onto the lot, and all the times that the detail shop across the street helped us out with things. And yeah, Craig Marcus. Oh my gosh, Craig Marcus was so amazing. Do you know him? Is he still around?
I haven't met him.
I don't know if he still has it, but on Hamlet, is it Hamlet?
Hamilton?
No, on Hamilton
Mm-hmm.
he was just around the corner he's like on the edge of the street with Hamilton and the GRC street. And he has a warehouse there that he has a huge woodworking shop. And he's a really he's the former maybe old owner of the Grow Pittsburgh building. So that's how I met him. And so yeah, because of his woodworking capabilities, he helped me a lot with building out the inside of the hanging the cabinets. I don't know if they're still there, but we used reclaimed cabinets from somewhere.
Nope, they're still there.
And in the metal, yeah, it was so good. And so yeah, he helped me hang them. He helps build the figure out how to build and build the big plywood shelves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if those are still there.
Yep, those are still there.
And then all the tool racks. Yeah, and he was huge. I think I at that point knew what we wanted and how to lay it out because of having built out the tool storage in the basement of the old Grow Pittsburgh office, and then building out the tool storage in the garden and in the shed behind the current Grow Pittsburgh office. But as far as like, how do I actually hang this on a metal, corrugated metal surface, and will it work? And ideas about how to set the posts to support those, that was just like, that was beyond where I was capable. And so it's just really great. I mean, not only did he help with the actual labor of it, but just having somebody to be like, yeah, that'll work, we can do that, was really great.
So when is the next time you're going to actually be in Pittsburgh?
I think I might come next weekend, actually. I've been talking to some friends
I would love
coming to visit, because I've been wanting to check out that the Allegheny County Fair.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the things on we need this list back in the day, and I'm so glad that Justin McGuffey is pulling that off.
We would love to have you stop past to see us at the GRC so you can see which you thought up in at the GRC office. I mean, in the Grow Pittsburgh offices and at your home, to see what everything has developed over the few years that you've been gone from here, just to see everything and how it's grown. And I would just like to say thank you for coming up with this, this beautiful space and this idea, and that the stewards of Grow Pittsburgh and the GRC have kept it moving with their vision, and it's just been a pleasure being able to work here and help the members of the community with their needs. And so.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, it's it feels like because I was involved in figuring out the site and the space and some of the initial programming. It feels like a lot of it came from my brain, but it actually didn't. I mean, these are ideas that are out there in the world. Mm-hmm. It's been tried and true other places, and so we were able to just be like, oh, what works there? I think Jessica was the one, or maybe it was Ray, who found the inventory system, an open source tool lending library inventory system that's out there in the world for us to just grab and use. How incredible is that, right? And so we definitely are standing on the shoulders of a lot of folks who have put in a lot of hard time to get this idea doable, so that an organization like ours could just be like, sure, we'll write it into a grant and dedicate some staff time, and now it can happen. And so it just feels like one of those right idea at the right time. And now, with all the great people that have been attracted to it, from the membership to the folks like yourself who are, year after year, returning to take this position and make this into something that you have a lot of passion and ownership over as well. It's just so amazing. It can just, all you have to do is just put a little thing in motion, and it can just grow and blossom. Plant that seed.
Absolutely.
So it's been a very, very rewarding project to be a part of.
Do you have a garden up in Buffalo?
I do. Yeah, before this I was living in Arizona, and it was so hard to garden there. Not for people that are, good at desert gardening. There's some really amazing gardening going on, but I could never kind of get the hang of the seasons there. So I'm really glad to be back in this bioregion and have started a garden. in my backyard, and also been like, why don't we have a GRC here? I just need this one tool, or I just need like a handful of yeah. So I may have to come visit more often. I don't know if I'm still a member there. Actually, I haven't seen these in a while, so I should probably get on that. But there is a cool tool lending library here that has been able to crack the net of saws and like things that you could fall off of and hurt yourself. So so I am a member there.
Great. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. The September 27th, 2024 GRC anniversary issue will be out. So please stay tuned and we will have more people to interview. Would you like to say anything before we get out of here?
I really want to flip the script and ask for your vision for the GRC and where you want it to go in the future.
Oh, I would love to see it expand. Um, Maybe have GRCs in different areas in Allegheny County or Pittsburgh area. I would love. I did some more digging myself, and I seen that back when you guys had first started the GRC, that there was a symposium that you guys, I think, had went to. It was different states of lending libraries, and you guys all came together. And I would love to see that happen again, just to see where you guys were in 2014 as opposed to 2024, and see how much it's grown leaps and bounds in different states, and to see if those people who went to that symposium, maybe in, I think it was 2015 or 2016, to see if those people are still around and see how their libraries have grown. So it'd be just nice to see that, because you can always keep learning. Learn something new from someone from Hawaii and see what they're doing, or over in Maryland, or even Virginia, or DC, New York. It would just be interesting to see how they've cultivated a tool lending library space for themselves in their state, and then bring it back to Pittsburgh and grow on it and expand it here.
Yeah, and vice versa. I think that the model that we've developed in Pittsburgh is really worth sharing out with people. And for me here in Buffalo, I mean, there's an established gardening organization, and it's just a question of having the right pieces in place, and then it will just really thrive. So I think vice versa, stepping up into that leadership in this community to share what successes you've been a part of. Yeah, I love your vision though. It's everything about. Oh, I didn't actually say this, but like we, I'm kind of like this anyway. But like, especially around this site, nothing felt long term. Mm-hmm. And like, Anita Grizio, the owner of the location, was really generous and really like, great, yeah, you can do that, no problem. But there was something also about how casual she was about it that made us like, we don't know how serious she is. Like, we don't know how long we can be here. So that was a big part of why I was like, we're not going to build a structure for this. It's going to be modular. We're going to be able to put it on a trailer and move it if we need to. Mm-hmm. And so it's cool that it stayed. But I also, the idea that you have about making these in other places, that modularity of the tool lending library, or the physical structure of the shed, and then you could do that anywhere, mm-hmm. And it could even move. It could be a mobile thing. So I love that idea.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and we're going to get out of here. See you guys soon. Bye.